Hi there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit watching this video. Everyone's been talking about this movie that came out recently, and which is a great thing, and a lot of people are hearing about it that haven't wanted to hear about it in the past, which is a great thing. There are some cautions around it too. If you get my newsletter, you saw an article I sent sharing what the Freedom Business Alliance and some members in East Asia wanted people to know about that movie. So I just thought it was really well written. If you haven't gotten that, if you don't get my newsletter, send me a message and I'll be happy to add you to that. So I just wanted to start out with a quick quote. I like quotes. This one's from Kimberly McGowan Yim, who wrote a book that a study group of mine, anti-trafficking group back in Minnesota, that we read years back. It was called Refuse to Do Nothing, and it was a really good book. It's an old book, somewhat dated, but there's still some good information in it. So if you're interested in reading that, it's called Refuse to Do Nothing. And basically it was some soccer moms that heard about trafficking and wanted to do something about it. So they started an organization, but the book just gives some really great practical ideas, facts, things like that about trafficking and modern day slavery. So that's a resource for you if you ever want to check that out. But I wanted to touch on 5 things, which really kind of is 6 because, it's me. I can't make things go too short, but I'm going to try to be as quick as possible here. So 5 things that you can do now that you might have heard of it and you're like, now what do I do? So the first I'm going to talk about is educating yourself. The second is educating others. There's an action point in that. The third is giving. The fourth is investing in people and kids. And then the fifth is being a conscious consumer. And please note ahead of time, those are in no particular order. They're all highly important. And I encourage you to pursue things in each of those categories. And I want this to be as simple and applicable as possible. So even if one or 2 or 3 things stand out to you from what I share, and you can start to adopt some of those things into your lifestyle, into your awareness, that's huge, and that's a big start. And I would love to hear back too. If you can, after you watch this video, send me a message back and let me know what are some action points that you're going to take after hearing this, or maybe even just some things that you have recently or for a long time been doing. I know one of you who's watching is just a great advocate of a lot of justice work and shopping fair trade and supporting a lot of anti-trafficking ministries and organizations, agencies, whatever you want to call that. So thank you for that. And you know who you are. I would love to hear what you're doing. And if you have ideas you want to share too of like something I didn't talk about, this is by any means not an all-encompassing list I'm going to share, just some starting points. And then also my goal is to do a talk a month. So each of these items are going to be their own talk in the following months. So just a quick overview tonight of those things. Number 1, before any of these 5, I am a person of faith, and I strongly believe in the power of prayer. If you are a person who prays, I highly encourage you to go about all this with prayer, to pray for those who are enslaved around our world and in our nation, in our states, in our cities, in various ways, whether that be through sex trafficking or labor trafficking, other forms of trafficking and injustice in the world. Prayer is huge and so important. I'm going to throw out something we talked about years ago in my group called red light prayers. So, there's the red light districts around the world, right? So what if we, every time we came to a stop sign, it was a red light, I should say, and we just said a quick prayer for those who are being affected by injustices right now. I think that could really change our hearts, and I know that our prayers are heard. So who knows what effect that might have, globally. So the first step I wanted to talk about was educating yourself, and that starts with knowing the facts and fallacies. There are a lot of fallacies around trafficking, so just start by knowing some of the facts and fallacies. Do your homework. I'm happy to do some of that homework for you. That's why if you want to tune in again next month, or invite some friends to tune in with you, I would be happy to share some of the facts and fallacies and more ways you can educate ourselves. There's so much information out there. Movies are great, and some of you may have seen Sound of Freedom, and that's great. That is one, when we watch movies, when we read a book, we read an article, hear a podcast, any of those things, those are all amazing ways to learn. But remember that was one story, one movie, and one story does not encompass everyone's story. So, I work with some ladies on Wednesdays here in Charlotte, and it is just such an honor to sit at the table with these artisans, and just so humbling and such an honor. They're such amazing ladies, but they all have such unique stories. Of course, there's some overlaps in some of the stories, but all very unique. I'm going to throw out a big thing education-wise. A big fallacy is that kids are going to be snatched off the corner. Your kids are going to be abducted. I'm not saying abduction doesn't happen. It does. It is a very small percentage of people who are trafficked through abduction. Mostly it's online. Connections that are made online, and people that the victims know. It might be a family member, it might be a friend of a family, sometimes families sell their children, sometimes friends. There's just various ways like that it happens, but it's mostly through someone that they know. Traffickers look for vulnerabilities, so that's a big thing to be aware of, and we can talk more about that later. Porn is a huge thing. Porn is a huge industry and growing. Huge percentage of men consume porn, and actually that number is going up, continuing to go up for women as well. Something I want you to be aware of: majority of people in those movies are not there by choice. Many of them are trafficked, or if they have gone in there by choice or thinking they were there by choice, at some point in their career, probably sooner than later, they'll be exploited. So just keep that in mind. If you're a man that's watching, or if you're a woman who can have this conversation with a man, have the locker room talks. Anyway, we'll go on more about that, but don't be afraid to share that porn is, it's so prevalent, but it's so dangerous, and it changes our minds, and people are highly exploited through that industry. So, okay, educating yourself. Once we're educated, we can educate others. So that might mean sharing a podcast, sharing a book. If you watched a movie, inviting a friend to watch it with you. It might mean educating our government, our city leaders, our state leaders. Can I just tell you, our recent move a year ago, I am so frustrated with the way, with the legal system down here and how things are handled with trafficking. Very different from up north. That's a conversation for another time, but I will happily have that conversation in 2 months when we talk about educating others. So that's a great thing you can do. You learn something about trafficking, share it with someone. Put it on your social media, or, if it comes up in conversation, know some facts so you can bring truth into that situation. The third thing we can do is give. There are many reputable organizations out there that they do need funds to, whether it's for legal fees or just operational fees, various things like that. Look into your local organizations in your state or your city. If you need help finding some, let me know. I like to research things like that. I'd be happy to help you find things. If you're in this area in Charlotte, I'm still trying to learn things in the Carolinas. I have a couple ideas, so I'm happy to share that, but do your research. I'm happy to help you research who locally you can support. Time, talent, and treasure. So that was the donations of money. Sometimes local agencies can use personal products for the ladies, or sometimes there's food shelf associated with these organizations, various things like that, just some basic care needs. So donate some of those items if they are needed. Ask your organization what they need. Let's see, sometimes you can just donate your time too. Some organizations want someone to come in, if it's an organization that has groups, they want someone to come in and share some life skills with their clients. So maybe it's something you can do and go in and do a little session and educate someone on whatever it might be, budgeting, meal prep, anything. I know someone here, hopefully that's watching, is a nurse. Maybe it's something about child development or just even own personal health. Various things we can do there. Another thing, I recently, in July, Terry and McKenna and I signed up to do a fun run walk for an organization here. I know there's a lot of those around the country, so if you like to, work out, run, exercise, whatever, you can get plugged in with that. If you need help with that, I can help you find things like that too. So those are just some ideas. Fourth, invest in people and kids. And I have to start this one with, I remember when we were in India in 2018, visiting some of our artisans, and I think this was a quote, it was a quote by Mother Teresa in the subway, and I wanted to take my picture. I'd take a picture of it, but you're not allowed to take pictures in the subway in India. But I think this was the quote or something similar. It said, every time you smile at someone, it's an action of love, a gift to that person, a beautiful thing. So as far as investing in people and investing in kids, start seeing people, really look people in the eye, particularly those that, I don't know, might make us feel uncomfortable, or those that we might not be used to seeing, those that, might not be your standard, forgive me for saying any of this wrong, but you're a standard clean cut person or whatever professional looking person. If it's someone that is the complete opposite of that, maybe they look like they're high on drugs. Maybe they look like they haven't slept in a home for a long time. Maybe they look like they haven't even slept in a long time. Maybe they have bruises. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just feeling really down about themselves, and they're just looking down. Like, try to catch someone's eye. Try to see everyone how our Creator sees them. I know that each person is so precious, and I can't tell you how amazing our artisans are. When I say our artisans, I'm talking about my business with Better Way Designs, but also where I volunteer here locally, the artisans I work with there. Each lady has an amazing, beautiful story, and they have been in some deep, dark, low places. And I'm sure we all have had some low places in our lives. And, right now, just think of one or two or even three people that have been instrumental to you and shown you love and care when you were in a low place. So if we can be that person, so that's investing in people. That's just a really short way of saying that. Investing in kids, we need to invest in our kids because we need to change this culture. I talked about porn before. The average age where kids see porn is ridiculously low. It's crazy. It pops up by accident. Kids are sharing it with each other. They're sexting. There's all kinds of things like that happening. We need to talk to our kids. We need to share with them what is good and true and right and encourage them in that and not shame them if they run across these things or they see it, even if they are seeking it out, addressing it with grace and with love and leading them in the way that is light. That's just a couple of things, but know who your kids are hanging out with. Talk to them. Look at their apps. Talk to them. Know what